EA Sports. It's in the game.
To me, it's all about Tom Brady. He's just one of those guys that if the game's on the line, you need a big play, he'll make that play for you.
Check it. 220. Wide, check.
Broadcast team, here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
First opened way back in 1924, but renovated in 2002. There's a look inside venerable Soldier Field in Chicago. Just a short time ago, this crowd loud enough to shake the foundations of this nearly century-old building. They are ready for football indeed in Chicago as their guys get set to do battle with the Chicago Bears. Hi again, everybody. Alongside my partner, Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. And, Charles, we saw Larry focus on the tight end matchup in his open. You think it's one to watch, don't you?
Definitely one to watch because these guys can create
Broadcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
From the banks of the Ohio River, there's a look at Paul Brown Stadium here in Cincinnati, Ohio. The enthusiasm of this Cincinnati crowd in full effect a moment ago as their Bengals took the field to the delight of this sold-out crowd. And they're all set as they'll match up with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Our commentators in the booth as we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, we are about 15 miles south of downtown Buffalo at what's now known as New Era Field here in Orchard Park. A few moments ago, to the delight of this Buffalo crowd, it was the Bills racing out of the tunnel as they get set to match up with the Buffalo Bills. Hi again, folks. I'm Brandon Gaudin. Welcome to the NFL on EA Sports. With me, as always, Charles Davis. And as we all know, Charles, offenses today, they're driven by the passing attack. But Larry highlighted in the open a couple of running backs who might just disagree with that assessment.
Yeah, and sometimes, occasionally,
Let's welcome in our fine broadcast team. Here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Larry, we are at the foot of the Rockies as EA Sports coverage of the NFL brings us to the picturesque city of Denver, Colorado. A moment ago, through a shower of pyrotechnics, it was the hometown Broncos taking the field as they get set to do battle with the Denver Broncos. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin, and you know, now more than ever, it's a passing league. We know that, and as Larry hit onto the open, we've got a couple of great passers squaring off here this afternoon.
and usually the discussion centers in on how they're going to compete against the opposite defense. But you and I had a nice little chat with one of these guys in this game, and they did say, look,
Out to the broadcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Thank you, Larry. From the shores of Lake Erie, EA Sports has coverage of the NFL from FirstEnergy Stadium here in Cleveland, Ohio. This was the scene a few minutes ago. The dog pound in full roar as their Browns emerge from their tunnel. They're ready to go as they get set to match up with the Cleveland Browns. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin.
Up with our commentators in the booth as we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, we are at a site that's played host to 2 Super Bowls, and that's Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. Just a short time ago, the Buccaneers emerging from their tunnel to the roar of this frenzied crowd here in the Sunshine State. And we're in the big ship, and fittingly, everyone here ready to do battle as Tampa Bay gets ready to match up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And welcome again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. And Larry, he took a moment to
In our fine broadcast team, here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
EA Sports coverage of the NFL takes us to the Valley of the Sun at University of Phoenix Stadium here in Glendale. A moment ago, this Arizona crowd was on its feet. The defensive starters, led by perennial All-Pro Patrick Peterson, were introduced. And they've got a tough one on their hands as they'll square off with the Arizona Cardinals. Hello again, everybody. I'm Brandon Godden here in the booth. With me, as always, Charles Davis. And you know, Charles, Larry took a moment to highlight a couple of the tight ends that we're going to see in this game. Both of these teams really look to
where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
And Larry, I thank you. We are at the home of the Chargers for the next 4 years as you get a look at the StubHub Center here in the L.A. suburb of Carson. The scene here in Carson a moment ago, both teams making their way out of the tunnel. Phillip Rivers, now the main man here in L.A., as his Chargers will match up with Phillip Rivers and the Los Angeles Chargers. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Godden, and you know, now more than ever, it's a passing league. We know that, and as Larry hit onto the open,
With that, it's time to hook up with our commentators in the booth as we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Larry, as always, it is a frenzied atmosphere inside Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. A few moments ago, the emotional leader of the Chiefs defense, Eric Berry, making his way out of the tunnel. He and his mates will get set to do battle with the Kansas City Chiefs. Hi again, everybody. Alongside my partner, Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. And, Charles, we saw Larry focus on the tight end matchup in his open. You think it's one to watch, don't you?
Definitely one to watch because these guys
Broadcast team, here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Thank you, Larry. We welcome you to the heart of the Hoosier State in the Circle City of Indianapolis, Indiana, and Lucas Oil Stadium. Just as we were ready for air, it was the Colts emerging from the locker room to great fanfare here in Indy. They're ready to go as the Colts get set to match up with Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. Hi again, everyone. I'm Brandon Gaudin. Welcome to the NFL on
Oh, let's send you out to the broadcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, EA Sports coverage of the National Football League is on the air. A moment ago, the Cowboys introduced to this gigantic crowd, and as usual, it was old number 88, Dez Bryant, that got the folks going the loudest. His guys are set to go head-to-head with the Dallas Cowboys. Hi again, folks. I'm Brandon Gaudin. Welcome to the NFL on EA Sports with
our commentators in the booth as we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Larry, we come to you from a city that's played host to 10 Super Bowls with an 11th on the way in 2020. Yes, we are in beautiful Miami, Florida. The excitement brewing here in South Florida. As a moment ago, the Dolphins starters were introduced to this home crowd. They're fired up as well as they get set to match up with Ryan Tannehill and the visiting Miami Dolphins. Hi again, everyone. I'm Brandon Gaudin. Welcome to the NFL on EA Sports. With me, as always, Charles Davis. And, Charles, we look at a matchup like this. It's really the running backs that may take center stage here today.
And in today's football, they're still valuable, not just as runners, but guys who can catch the ball as well. It's really the number of touches.
Broadcast team, here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Okay, Larry, thank you. We are just off I-95 at the home of the Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field on the south side of Philadelphia. The scene in South Philly a few moments ago. Boy, the city of brotherly love is fired up. They're saying, "Fly, Eagles, fly," as they get ready to match up with the Philadelphia Eagles. Hi again, folks. I'm Brandon Gaudin.
Broadcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Thank you very much, Larry. EA Sports coverage of the NFL. The National Football League is here and on the air. A moment ago, here was the scene. The Falcons coming out from their tunnel to the roar of all the folks here in Atlanta. We're ready for football as these Falcons get set to match up with the Atlanta Falcons. Hello, folks. With Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. And a moment ago, Larry gave us a look at the two number one receivers that'll be facing off here. But you think it's more than just one-on-one? Both these teams, they've got a number of pass-catching options.
And I'm eager to see how both teams will attack the opposite
It's time to hook up with our commentators in the booth as we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Thank you, Larry. EA Sports coverage of the NFL brings us to the home of Super Bowl 50, Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. A few short moments ago, these two teams made their way out of the Levi Stadium tunnels, and the noise level in this place was deafening. They're set for football as the 49ers get ready to do battle with the San Francisco 49ers. And welcome again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. And Larry, he took a moment to highlight the tight ends that we're going to see in this one. I know in our production meeting we were talking about what we wanted to highlight pregame, and you said tight ends. Why did you say that?
Because
Broadcast team, here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, thanks. We are across the Hudson from Midtown Manhattan at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. This crowd a few minutes ago stirred into action at the sight of their men in blue emerging from the MetLife tunnels. We're set to go as the Giants get ready to match up with the New York Giants. And we say hi again, one and all. Brandon Gaudin here as we count you down to kickoff, and I turn to my partner, that's Charles Davis. And Charles, I know even a former defensive back like you can admire some of the receivers in the game today, and Larry showed us a couple that are very
To the broadcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Thank you, Larry. Coming to you from just off the New Jersey Turnpike in East Rutherford, we are just about set for football on EA Sports from MetLife Stadium. A few moments ago, the crowd here was on their feet as their beloved Jets made their way out of the tunnel. They're ready to go. We're ready to go. It should be a good one as those New York Jets get set to face off with the New York Jets. Hello again, everybody. I'm Brandon Godden here in the booth. With me, as always, Charles Davis. And you know, Charles, Larry took a moment to highlight a couple of the tight ends that we're going to see in this game. Both of these teams really look to get them involved in the offense early and often, don't they?
And we continue to see in the NFL how the tight end is becoming more
commentators in the booth as we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Well, Larry, with a sight of fans splashing in pools behind the end zone, we can only be in one place. That's EverBank Field in Jacksonville, Florida. A few minutes prior to us coming on air, this crowd was jolted into action with the introduction of these Jaguars. They're set for football as the Jags are ready to match up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Godden. And you know, Charles, as Larry pointed out in the open, got a couple of great quarterbacks set to square off here this afternoon. That ball's probably going to be flying all over the place, isn't it?
oh, without a doubt, and the game is
Our fine broadcast team, here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, first opened in 2002. There's a look inside Ford Field here in downtown Detroit. A few short moments ago, these two teams made their way out of the Ford Field tunnels, and the noise level in this place just about off the charts. They are set for football as the Lions get ready to do battle with the Detroit Lions. Hi again, everybody. Alongside my partner, Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. And, Charles, we saw Larry focus on the tight end matchup in his
broadcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Gaudin and Charles Davis.
We're at the oldest continually operating stadium in the NFL as you get a look inside Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. No team means more to a city than the Packers to Green Bay, and this was the scene a few moments ago as the green and gold made their way out of the historic tunnel. They're ready to go as they get set to match up with the Green Bay Packers. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin, and you know, now more than ever, it's a passing league. We know that, and as Larry hit onto the open, we've got a couple of great passers squaring off here.
Taters in the booth as we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
EA Sports coverage of the NFL takes us to the Carolinas and Bank of America Stadium here in Uptown Charlotte. A short time ago, a scene that never fails to stir up the folks here in Charlotte. Cam Newton strutting his way onto the field. His guys are fired up as they get set to go toe-to-toe with the Carolina Panthers. Hi again, everyone. I'm Brandon Gaudin. Welcome to the NFL on EA Sports. With me, as always, Charles Davis. And, Charles, we look at a matchup like this. It's really the running backs that may take center stage here today.
And in today's football, they're still valuable.
Let's welcome in our fine broadcast team. Here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Larry, we are about an hour's drive southwest of downtown Boston in the area known as Patriot Place, Gillette Stadium here in Foxborough. All the success in New England over the last few decades, and this crowd has never been more enthusiastic. A moment ago, the Pats emerged from their locker room. They are set as they'll square off with the New England Patriots. And welcome again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. And Larry, he took a moment to highlight the tight ends that we're going to see in this one. I know in our production meeting we were talking about what we wanted to highlight pregame, and you said tight ends. Why did you say that?
Because it can be such a match.
Podcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, after an off-season of questions, football is back here in the East Bay at Oakland, California. A short time ago, the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year for 2016, Khalil Mack, getting the folks in silver and black in full roar as his guys get set to match up with the Oakland Raiders. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. And you know, Charles, as Larry pointed out in the open, got a couple of great quarterbacks set to square off here this afternoon. That ball's probably going to be flying all over the place, isn't it?
Oh, without a doubt. And the game has never been more quarterback-centric than it is now. And both of these teams.
Booth, as we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, thank you very much. It's the National Football League presented by EA Sports. And a few short moments ago, running back Todd Gurley trying to fire up the Ram faithful here in Southern California as his guys get set to do battle with the Los Angeles Rams. And we say hi again, everybody. Brandon Gaudin here as we count down to kickoff. I turn to my partner, that's Charles Davis. And Charles, Larry pointed out in the open, we've got a pretty good matchup of wide receivers here this afternoon, don't we?
And those guys have such a big impact.
With that, let's welcome in our fine broadcast team. Here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Larry, thanks. CA Sports coverage of the NFL brings us to the Inner Harbor and M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. The Raven defense taking the field a few moments ago, and their all-time leading sack man, Terrell Suggs, was firing up the troops. They get set for what should be a good matchup with the Baltimore Ravens. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Godden, and you know, now more than ever, it's a passing league. We know that, and as Larry hit onto the open, we've got a couple of great passers squaring off here this afternoon.
And usually the discussion centers in on how they're going to compete against the opposite defense. But you and I had a nice little chat with one of these guys in this game, and they did say, look,
Out to the broadcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, we are due east from our nation's capital at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Just a few moments ago, it was the Redskin defense being introduced, and the largest cheers went for their Pro Bowl cornerback, Josh Norman, as he and his guys get set to do battle with the Washington Redskins. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Godden. And you know, Charles, as Larry pointed out in the open, got a couple of great quarterbacks set to square off here this afternoon. That ball's probably going to be flying all over the place, isn't it?
oh, without a doubt, and the game has never been more quarterback-centric than it is now, and both of these teams have top-flight signal calls.
our commentators in the booth as we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, thank you. We are down on the bayou as you get a look inside the Mercedes Benz Superdome in New Orleans. The setting in this dome just serves to amplify the excitement of the folks in New Orleans as their Saints burst from the tunnel a moment ago. They're set, and we're set as well as the Saints get ready to do battle with the New Orleans Saints. Hi again, folks. I'm Brandon Godden. Welcome to the NFL on EA Sports. With me, as always, Charles Davis.
Our fine broadcast team. Here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Okay, Larry, we are just south of historic Pioneer Square at CenturyLink Field in the beautiful city of Seattle, Washington. This crowd, as we've come to expect in recent years, as loud as any in the NFL, and they get even louder when their Seahawks are introduced. We're ready for football as the Seahawks get set to do battle with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. Hi again, everybody, alongside Charles Davis. I'm Brandon Godden, and you know, now more than ever, it's a passing league. We know that, and as Larry hit onto the open, we've got a couple of great passers squaring off here this afternoon.
And usually the discussion centers in on how they're going to compete against the opposite defense. But you and I had a nice little chat with one
For the call, let's send you out to the broadcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Right at the convergence of the Three Rivers on Art Rooney Drive, we welcome you to Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They love the black and gold here in the Steel City, and a few moments ago, their Steelers emerged from the Heinz Field tunnel. They're set, we're set, as the Steelers are ready to do battle with Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hello again, everybody. I'm Brandon Gaudin here in the booth. With me, as always, Charles Davis. And you know, Charles, Larry took a moment to highlight a couple of the tight ends that we're going to see in this game. Both of these teams really look to get them involved in the offense early and often, don't they?
And we continue to see in the NFL how the tight end
our commentators in the booth, so we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, thanks, Larry. EA Sports coverage of the NFL brings us to the heart of Texas and NRG Stadium in Houston. The scene from a few moments ago, this crowd enthusiastically cheering on their Texans as they emerge from the locker room. And we're just about ready for football as the Texans get set to match up with the Houston Texans. Hi again, everybody. Alongside my partner, Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. And Charles, we saw Larry focus on the tight end matchup in his open. You think it's one to watch, don't you?
definitely one to watch because these guys can create such big plays by all the different things they can do. Line up out wide, in the slot, line up in a normal tight end position.
Broadcast team, here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
We welcome all of you to Nissan Stadium on the banks of the Cumberland River in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. The whole of downtown Nashville likely still reverberating with the sounds of the Titans taking the field a moment ago. They're ready for football as their Titans are set to match up with Marcus Mariota and the Tennessee Titans. Hi again, everyone. I'm Brandon Gaudin. Welcome to the NFL on EA Sports.
Let's send you out to the broadcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
EA Sports coverage takes us to one of the newest jewels on the NFL landscape, FirstEnergy Stadium in Minneapolis. The scene a short time ago, this crowd decked out in purple, and they were in full roar as their guys burst out of the locker room. We're ready for football, folks, as the Vikings get set to do battle with the Minnesota Vikings. Hello, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. As we get set here, Charles, we talk about wide receivers. You know, Larry mentioned it in the open, but that's a big spot to look at here in this one.
I think he identified it perfectly because these guys have such an impact on the game nowadays because they throw the ball.
Hello, everybody. I'm Larry Ridley. Welcome to the NFL on EA Sports. We're across the pond in England this week, and two teams are hoping to show off for an international audience. It's the Ravens going up against the Jaguars. With that, it's time to hook up with our commentators in the booth as we turn it over to Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, we appreciate it, Larry. It's our exclusive coverage of the National Football League on EA Sports. This crowd excited to see their Jaguars as both teams emerged from their tunnels a moment ago. We are just about ready for football as the Jags get set to match up with Joe Flacco and the Baltimore Ravens. Alongside my partner, Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. Charles, you look at this Jaguar team.
Broadcast team, here are Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, thank you very much. We are pleased, as always, to be bringing you coverage of the National Football League presented by EA Sports. A second ago, the Dolphin offense led out onto the field by their veteran quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. He and his mates in for a tough one as they get set to match up with the New Orleans Saints. Hi, everyone.
You out to the broadcast booth, where we'll join our commentators, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Larry, EA Sports coverage of the National Football League is on the air. This was the scene a few minutes ago, the dog pound in full roar as their Browns emerge from their tunnel, and they're ready to go as they get set to match up with the Minnesota Vikings. Hi again, everyone, with Charles Davis. I'm Brandon Gaudin, and Charles, we look at this